Yeah, so Destio is the foundation of all good Lich builds. Um, Hello everybody. With 1.0 around the corner and new players checking out the game, I thought it'd be a good time to do an updated video for Lich. Even though the class identity for Lich is Reaper form, both visually and as a mastery skill, I would say that Destio is much more, I hate to say mandatory, but unless things change, it is a pretty much mandatory skill. Whether you're a crit enjoyer or a damage over time enjoyer, Destio is a must in your build. In this video, I will not be going over specific builds in detail, but rather the Destio skill tree and a few tips regarding the gameplay. Alright, let's get into it. Destio is both an offensive and defensive skill, with the only downside that it deletes all the ward gain upon activation. With Deadlock Node Spect, you'll lock your HP at 33% or lower, you'll gain 66% more global damage and take 33% less damage. Any leech you do while DS is active will be considered overleech, and you'll typically notice your health spike back to full once DS is released. This is assuming you are doing damage to mobs while DS was active, of course, which leads us to tip number 1. You'll want to release Destio if you're running around in an echo and you notice that density is not good. If you keep DS active and hitting no mobs and getting no leech, you'll end up just dropping out of Reaper form, since there's no leech to counteract the built-in HP degen while in Reaper form. Also be careful not to double tap Destio, as that will just drop your health to 33% with no benefit. Tip number 2. You'll want to refresh your Reaper form at the end of Mono Echo. You can do that by using DS to help you get kicked out of Reaper form faster. Once you complete a Mono and still in Reaper form, click on Destio and then get your loots. You'll drop out of Reaper form faster this way. The Reaper form CD is reset once you enter a new echo or a zone, so you can just go into a new Reaper form right away at the start of a new echo. When Destio ends or deactivates, it does a Death Wave, which is a point blank AoE. Death Wave gets 20% more damage per second Destio is active. With Duration Node Spect, that's a total of 8 seconds duration for 160% more damage. It also gets 1% more damage per 1% missing health, so with Deadlock, that's another 66% more damage. And lastly, it also has added spell damage that applies at 300% effectiveness, which synergizes really well with the global flat spell damage per cast node in Rip Blood. Once you spec into Death Wave as a pulse, Death Wave would do 60% less damage. However, this is compensated and yields overall more damage, since each pulse will do more damage the longer you have Destio active. Keep in mind that if you're spamming Rip Blood during Destio, each pulse calculates damage independently, so the global flat damage feeds to each Death Wave pulse. You can juice up even more damage with the node Doom Call, which gives Death Wave 10% more damage per stack of Damned on yourself. This gets even more amplified with the unique wand Mariner's Lost Soul, since you're able to apply additional stacks of Damned on yourself with each spell cast. The setup for dot builds with Destio is roughly the same, since more damage modifier you get from Destio is for all damage types. You'll not be focusing on the Death Wave damage for dot builds, and Death Wave in these builds are typically just supplemental form of damage, and it's actually not too bad for Echo Trash Clear. For Poison Lich, you'll want to take the nodes in Destio for global poison chance based on percent missing health, which is 88% global poison chance with 4 points. You'll also most likely put points into Devouring Release, which shoots out Hungering Souls while Destio is active. You may also consider speccing into the node that extends Wandering Spirit's duration, with 1.0 in the lock passives for Poison Overload and the more damage to damp mobs while channeling makes channeling Wandering Spirit's route pretty appealing. As a final note on the defensive aspect of Destio is the Desperate Shroud node, which gives you plus 6 armor per 10 missing health, that's with 3 points invested, which you always have since the Deadlock is gated right behind this node. This synergizes well with Endurance, since you are fairly close to Endurance threshold when you activate Destio with Deathlock. Destio builds tend to be a more active playstyle. It is not a skill that you just use on every cooldown. As a new player, it'll get some getting used to, especially when you first start using Deadlock and get nervous due to the health dropping 33%. But after you play for some time, you'll realize just how tanky you are with Destio active, even in human form. No matter what playstyle you enjoy, you'll want to have Destio in your Lich build. I'm linking 2 build planners in the description of the video for you to reference. You can either copy pasta or tweak to your own liking. As a side note, I've been playing Rip Blood Crit Lich since 0.7 patch, as I am a big yellow number crit enjoyer. I hope you enjoyed the video and have a better understanding now of how Destio works. If you have any questions, feel free to leave a comment below. I also stream on my Twitch, so stop by and say hi. Thanks for watching. See you next time.